Traveling with family or friends results in some of the best memories that last you a lifetime. Who doesn't like to travel? You may enjoy travel for various reasons: sightseeing, learning about cultures, history, different food, hiking, adventures, or just people watching from patio cafes. Vacation travel is fun and can be food for your soul. But if you're not into budget traveling, it can get very expensive. Well, today I'm breaking down how much I spent visiting Antarctica and 14 other countries in the last year and provide some money saving tips. Now, whether you're a seasoned traveler or just planning your first trip, this video has something for you. So let's dive in. Now, firstly, some context. I retired in early 2024 in my mid 40s to play competitive sports, spend more time with the family, and gain new experiences. Now, I accomplished a lot of that through my extensive traveling. I went on several family vacations, traveled to different parts of the world to play cricket and pickleball with my teams, and also traveled with friends to various countries to gain new experiences. Now, in addition to these, I took several trips with my daughter, ranging from 2 to 5 days, for her golf tournaments. Now, although these trips are priceless from a daddy daughter bonding perspective, we won't really get into them since the primary purpose of those trips were her golf and not so much a vacation. So, where did I go and how much did I spend? Here are some details from my trips. Now, I've rounded off the expenses on each of these trips to the nearest thousand. Now, in summary, I was out traveling for 4 months of the year. About 2 months were traveling with family, and two with my sports teams or boys' trips with my friends. Now, when I was working full time, I spent almost 2 months of the year away on work for work travel. So this didn't really change the time away from my family. I spent a total of $61,000 on these trips, which was in the ballpark of what I expected for the year, although I had no set travel plan at the beginning of the year. Now, I just put down 50,000 as a lump sum for travel when I was calculating my financial independence number. What was surprising though was that although I overshot my travel expense by 11,000, my total expense for the year came closer in line with my expectations because I hadn't accounted for the reduction in your regular expenses living at home when you're out traveling. Now, it's clear from the numbers here, especially if you take out Antarctica, since that's an outlier and that would skew everything. The trips with the family are a lot more expensive than those on my own. And logically, also, that makes sense, right? Family trips, you're paying for multiple people, you're staying in nicer places, you're going to more expensive destinations. And while you're traveling with friends or your sports teams, usually things are shared and subsidized considerably. Now, I spent nearly 2 months on these trips with friends or my sports teams, and taking out Antarctica, the average expense was less than $250 per day. That's including airfare, transportation, stays, activities, meals, partying, etc. Now, on the family trips, it's obviously more and averaging nearly $750 a day. Our family trips were neither budget vacations nor were they at luxury resorts. Our vacations are pretty overweighted on activities and sightseeing than R&R. Now, we are retired. We get plenty of R&R at home. So, all our trips are DIY. We don't book a tour company for the entire trip. We often book day tours at destinations, but we like the flexibility of creating our own itinerary, setting our own pace. Also, planning your trip and doing the research on your destination with your family is half the fun by itself. Now, for international destinations, for a family of three, less than $750 a day is still a pretty good deal. However, if you're looking at that number and saying, well, that's a lot, then please share your tips in the comments below because it can help all of us. Now, before getting to the money saving tips, I'll share an observation. Travel to international destinations costs more when it comes to airfare. But apart from North America and Western Europe, the accommodations, meals, activities, etc. are a lot cheaper. So if you can get a really good deal on the airfare, your international vacations to exotic destinations can be far cheaper than domestic travel. Okay, here are some of my tips. Tip number 1, skip a couple days of school. Now, although we are retired, we're still bound by school vacations because our daughter is in middle school. But travel during school breaks is often the most expensive because it aligns with peak travel seasons. Now, by extending the vacation by a couple days before or after the break, you can save significantly on flights and accommodations. Now, especially if your children are in elementary or middle school, it's probably they're going to learn a lot more on an international trip than the couple days of school that they're missing. Use the extra time to avoid the rush, secure cheaper travel options, and enjoy less crowded destinations. For example, our Patagonia trip last Thanksgiving, we flew out on the Wednesday night, the week before Thanksgiving. So we missed 2 days of school. A mid-week flight can often be half the cost. I believe we paid $700 round trip per person from Dallas to Santiago, Chile. Now, if you want to book international airfare, you want to do that at least 6 months in advance to get good fares near the school holidays. But that really shouldn't be a problem since the school calendar comes out like a year before. You don't have to plan any other details at that time, right? Just book the airline tickets and then book everything else like 6 to 8 weeks prior to your trip. Tip number 2, travel maybe with another family. Splitting costs with another family makes travel more affordable and it's a lot more fun. Like expenses like accommodations, car rentals, and even group activities can be shared, significantly lowering the per family cost. Now, not only does this work better from a budget standpoint, but you get connected with your friends. Kids get company to hang out. It's just more fun. You can even do like different activities when you have more people, right? So, for instance, when we were in Edinburgh, the dads and daughters played golf for a couple days, while the moms went to cafes, did people watching, and then they went to comedy clubs. But you want to choose families with similar travel styles and budgets, and obviously people that you get along with. Except for our Canada trip, all our other family vacations were along with other family or with friends. Tip number 3, leverage credit card points for airfare and lounges. Now, airfare is by far the biggest expense of international travel. Firstly, we don't travel business class unless we get a free upgrade. But using credit card points can not only help you get free flights, but also help you get to elite status on airlines and access to airport lounges so your travel can become more comfortable. Now, many credit cards also offer perks like free checked bags, priority boarding, and lounge access. I have 3 travel credit cards. Since we live in Dallas, the home of American Airlines, we have the American Airlines City Executive Platinum Card, which also gives you and your family access to all the Admiral Club lounges in the country and abroad. I also have the Capital One Venture X card, which has Priority Pass, basically giving you lounge access in most airports across the world. And then I have the Chase Sapphire, which I use exclusively for Hyatt hotels. I'm not going to get into the perks of all these cards, but they offer a way more value than what you would pay in annual fees. Now, I'm sure you can find deals on them with details all over YouTube. Now, and I'm not taking full advantage of these credit card points. I'm not so much into like travel hacking. I just do the basic stuff because the travel hacking you can really optimize, but it just takes too much time, in my opinion. Uh, so our flights to and from Canada and our flights to Croatia to and fro were basically free using points. And then I flew to India in business class in October using the points as well. And then my stay in Utah for a tournament that was paid for by my Hyatt points. Now, this easily shaved off about $8,000 from my travel last year. Now, you can think of it as like, one extra trip for the entire family that you could take just by using points. Tip number 4, opting for apartments instead of hotels. Now, renting apartments via platforms like Airbnb or Booking.com is often cheaper than booking like multiple hotel rooms, especially for families or groups. Plus, you get the added benefit of a kitchen and more space in general for hanging out. I think you should look for listings with good reviews and flexible cancellation policies. You can prioritize locations near public transport or major attractions to save time on commuting. Off late, I prefer booking.com, and once you make a few reservations there, it upgrades your status and you automatically get like 10 to 20% off your next bookings. Now, typically, we book 2 or 3 bedroom, 2 bath apartments or homes. These work out the same price or lower than 2 hotel rooms. We don't really cook meals on vacations because we are on vacation, but having a kitchen does help since we usually will have breakfast at home because we do some basic local groceries at whichever location we're at, and it gives us a flavor of that country. But some nights, we've had a tiring day, so we might not want to go out for dinner, and we end up having some 2-minute noodles at home. Another benefit is that most of these apartments come with a washer and dryer. Now, this allows us to travel light everywhere, and we just travel, even if it's for a 3-week vacation, I just travel with carry on luggage. For me, it's just a backpack. So we never have to wait at baggage claim or pay any airline baggage fees. Now, at Edinburgh, in the peak summer, hotel rooms were about $450 a night, but we got a 3 bedroom, 3 bath apartment for 4 nights for $2,200 for 2 families. Tip number 5, travel during shoulder seasons. Now, shoulder seasons, these are the periods just before or after peak tourist seasons. They offer milder weather, fewer crowds, and significantly lower prices on flights, accommodations, and activities. Now, research your destination to identify its shoulder seasons. For example, in Europe and North America, it's late April to early June or September to early October. In Southeast Asia, South America, usually late November or February. Now, even though we are bound by school holidays, we are still able to make these shoulder seasons work for our trips during Thanksgiving and the summer. Especially summer, since the schools close earlier in Texas around the 20th of May. So last year, our trips to Canada, Croatia, and Patagonia were all during the shoulder seasons, and we had great weather and lesser crowds. Now, one bonus tip, be opportunistic. Look, we want to travel and see the world. There is so much to see and explore that one lifetime isn't going to be sufficient. So we aren't very particular about the order in which we are going to see the world. We are quite flexible and opportunistic about it. Now, there are amazing places all over the world, right? Just before I retired, my wife, daughter, and I made a top 5 wish list of places we would like to travel to as a family in the next 5 years. Now, some of them were even countries we had been to before, but would like to visit like another part of that country. Our goal is to prioritize those countries, but that doesn't mean we won't go to others if the opportunity arises. Last Thanksgiving, we went to Patagonia, and I saw an ad for the National Geographic Explorer expedition to Antarctica leaving from Chile just a couple days after we were supposed to return back from Chile. So the family that we were traveling with, my friend and I, we signed up for this and extended our stay to go to Antarctica while our families returned back to Dallas as planned. So we just had to pay for the expedition and not for the travel from Dallas to southern Chile. By extending stays and using layovers, I've been able to see a lot more of the world without adding the cost of a whole new trip together. Now, I got to see a bit of Helsinki during my 12-hour layover there on my way to Asia last year. I booked an adventure tour in northern India when I needed to go to Dubai for a cricket tournament last October. And this coming spring, I will be stopping over at Fiji for a week on my way back from Brisbane for another cricket tournament. Now, I never had Fiji on my list, but Fiji Airways was offering a free stopover for a week from Brisbane to Dallas, so hey, why not? Travel isn't cheap, but comfortable travel doesn't need to be a very expensive affair either. Now, with the right strategies, you can see the world without completely draining your bank account. So what's your tip on optimizing your travel or vacation experience? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your fellow travelers. Until next time, happy travels!